My name's Doug Samuelson. I run a little R&D consulting company here in the area. A lot of these same issues occur with active duty military. And there are a lot of studies there and a lot of work on continuing evaluation. A lot of the same issues too. It's hard to measure and people don't want to disclose when they have a problem, and people don't believe they have a problem. And they don't have a problem until it's triggered by stress, all the same kinds of things. I'm wondering whether you and some of the people who have been working on the military are talking to each other.
Well, I think the military certainly has their own difficulties with deployment. What we're seeing, police officers who return from deployment are, I like to call it double dose trauma. You know, they're patrolling the streets of Afghanistan and Baghdad, and they're coming back here, and there's an adjustment period that not only involves psychological adjustment, there's an adjustment period that involves, for example, how to drive a car. I mean, in Baghdad, you drive a Humvee in a different way than you drive it on the streets of California. You know, I mean, I've seen videos of this where these folks are driving Humvees down the road in Baghdad, and they're bumping cars off the street as they go along, you know, because they might be suspected terrorists. But when you come back to Detroit or Buffalo, you can't do that anymore. And certainly you can't bust into homes and look for terrorists in Buffalo. So yeah, the readjustment period involves retraining, I think. The firearms are, I think, another area where retraining is necessary. But
there's an opportunity there, though, that you raise that has to do not just with PTSD. The military has got loud and clear the message that if they're going to be successful in the next generation of warfare and counterinsurgency operations, then the average lower-ranking enlisted person with little experience has to be able to do pretty much what a cop has to do. Identify a threat, neutralize the threat. Don't piss off the people. Build a sense of community. Be just in how you deal with people. Be able to connect with them. This is all part of surviving, but it's also ultimately what is going to make the difference between whether we win or whether we don't, whether the global strategy collapses. The military's got that, and they're on it, and that's why 3/4 of my funding comes from military now for my research. It's a real good place for the researchers in the room to think about the overlap with their work.
Well, you think about what deployment does to the reserve Army person. They're pulled out of their job, they're pulled out of their home, and they're sent to Iraq for 15 months for maybe 1 or 2 or 3 deployments. In the meantime, their family back home needs to deal with their absence. In the meantime, their family back home has adjusted without them. So when they come home, they have to readjust when they're back into the fold again. So you've got that whole mechanics of absence and returning and put together, and it causes a lot of family relationship problems. Soldiers are having problems with domestic violence, with alcohol. And we've just wrote a proposal for DOD considering domestic violence and alcohol use in returning veterans. And that's in for review right now.